As God is cleaning you out, there will be many battles as you cling to your bad habits and attachments to this world. Jesus' advice to Louisa was not to procrastinate. If you procrastinate, then you allow a battle to form. Jesus set the perfect example for us. When Peter tried to talk Jesus out of going to his death in Jerusalem, Jesus rolled around and told him, "Get behind me, Satan." When Satan himself tempted Jesus in the desert, Jesus immediately quoted scripture. If you are tempted, don't procrastinate. Meet the temptation immediately before a battle forms. This can be especially good advice when it comes to the battlefield of our minds. The minute a negative thought, such as fear, worry, hatred, or discouragement, pops into your head, get rid of it right away before it becomes a battle. Jesus cannot think these negative thoughts in your thinking. These are not in the divine will. In fact, Jesus showed Louisa how he suffered a thorn for every thought that was not in the divine order. Don't procrastinate, especially in this battlefield of the mind, and cause Jesus to suffer additional thorns. Some of the most entrenched sins in our world are the sins of the tongue. We just can't stop talking about other people. As you grow in the divine will, God will create all sorts of circumstances to teach you to mind your own business. Jesus gave Louisa some very down to earth advice on this problem. Don't look at your neighbor and you won't judge them. Another bit of advice Jesus gave Louisa involves a necessary aspect of living in the divine will, recognition of our nothingness. Even the invocations to the divine will begin with, "We are nothing, God is everything." The reality is that if God were to withdraw from us at this moment, we wouldn't even be a handful of dust. We would simply cease to exist. The will of the Father delivers every breath we take on the wings of an angel. The divine will maintains the existence of every cell in our body in every moment. It is hard for us, especially living in a country where the last thing anyone would teach us is humility, to embrace this truth. We can understand it, but we have trouble living it. To live this truth, we would have to stop thinking about ourselves. It makes sense. If you really recognized that you only exist in God, and without God you are nothing, you would stop thinking about yourself. After all, if you are nothing, there is nothing to think about. There is no question to live as a nothing is very hard. Actually, it is impossible to do without God's help. Here is what Jesus told Louisa to do. "My daughter, in order for the soul to forget about itself, it must do the following: in everything that it does, and in that which is necessary for it, the soul must do it as if it is I who want to do it in the soul. If the soul prays, it must say, 'It is Jesus who wants to pray, and I am praying together with him.' If the soul must work, it is Jesus who wants to work, it is Jesus who wants to walk. It is Jesus who wants to eat, who wants to sleep, who wants to get up, who wants to enjoy himself, and so on with all the rest of life, except the errors. Only in this way can the soul forget about itself, because the soul will do everything, not only because I want it, but since I want it, they need me to do it. This advice is very clear and simple. The only question is, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to go about your day saying, Jesus wants to go to the grocery store. Jesus wants to eat some dinner. Jesus wants to read from a volume. Jesus wants to do some rounds. Jesus wants to go to bed. And on and on. Does it seem a little foolish? Yet Jesus' words are very clear. In the Bible, the prophet Elisha let Naaman, the pagan commander, know that God would heal him of his leprosy if he would wash himself 7 times in the Jordan River. Naaman was insulted and refused to do it. Fortunately, Naaman's servants convinced him that had he been asked to do something difficult, he would not have refused. So he should not disregard the prophet's instructions because they are simple and humbling. Naaman finally did what was asked of him and he was healed. Do you want to forget about yourself and achieve this nothingness? Then take Jesus' instructions to Louisa, even if they are simple and humbling, and go about your day saying, Jesus wants to. This advice has been tested. When you are already traveling to the grocery store, don't say, Jesus wants to go to the grocery store. When you are in the middle of the ice cream cone, don't say, Jesus wants to have an ice cream cone. At this point, Jesus does not have much choice in the matter. Take the time to stop and say, Jesus wants to, and let Jesus fill in the blank while you listen. You will then be allowing Jesus to live in your life. You will be truly living in the present moment because you will never know what He wants to do next. The thousand things that you feel need to be done The thousand things that you feel need to be done will no longer bother you because Jesus will be in charge and miraculously they will be done, God willing. And once you are doing what Jesus wants to do, remind yourself often that it is Jesus who wants to shop for groceries, and I am shopping together with him. And when your thoughts drift away as you perform some repetitious, mundane task, hear Jesus' voice as he whispers to you, don't miss what we are doing in this moment. There is no better way to live. Your day will have peace and ease. Eventually, if you are faithful to Jesus' advice, you will no longer need to go about your day saying, Jesus wants to. You will feel such a unity with Jesus that you will know you are doing everything together in every moment. So the only question is, are you willing to humble yourself and follow Jesus' instructions? When the apostles woke every morning, Jesus would not give them the itinerary for the day. They simply followed him from one moment to moment. never knowing what they would be doing next. In the divine will, we want to follow Jesus as he moves in our movement, speaks in our voice, prays in our praying. If we do this and we move into our nothingness, Jesus truly will have another life to live to accomplish the Father's will. Nothingness is necessary for anyone who really wants this gift of the divine will.